Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bronson's By Any Means Necessary Fantasy Football Talk for Thursday, August 25th. Continuing my fantasy positional preview for the 2022 season. I'm here on site at, I don't even know, there's no word to describe the majesty of this place. Abiqua Falls in Marion County, middle of nowhere, Oregon. I'm like 30 miles from any town. Technically, it's in a town called Scotts Mills, but it's not. There's no town around here. That water, I just got in that water, is lovely. It's 90 degrees here in where I'm at, with humidity touching 60%, so a bit sticky. Anyway, let's get to the tight ends real quick, so I can proceed back up this trail and go to my parents' house before it gets too late and have my dad change my radiator hose. And I'm going to drop off my souvenirs. I got them in New Mexico, and get my credit card. So, tight end preview, top 10. For the first time in like 5 years, Travis Kelce's not the number one ranked tight end. That'll be Mark Andrews of Baltimore, especially with no Marquise Brown and no proven wide receiver. Mark Andrews is going to have massive volume. I'm sorry, I brought my tripod with me, but I'm not really in a good spot to be using it, so I'm having to hold this thing. But Travis Kelce is the number 2 tight end. Kyle Pitts, the freaking unicorn, who is getting all the hype this year. He could very well be the number 1 tight end, and you're going to have to pay a premium price to get him. You're going to have to pay Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce price, second round, third round price to get Kyle Pitts. But not the worst decision you can make, especially with how deep wide receiver is. I have no problem taking Andrews, Kelce, Pitts up in that second or third round this year. Darren Waller of the Raiders at 4. George Kittle of the 49ers at 5. TJ Hawkinson of the Lions at 6. I got him a little lower on my list. Dalton Schultz, the Cowboys at 7. Dallas Goedert of the Eagles at 8. There's no denying that Dallas Goedert is now the alpha tight end in Philadelphia. Zach Ertz of the Cardinals at 9. I got Zach Ertz a little higher because he actually finished in the second half after getting traded to Arizona. He was a top 5 tight end. So there's no reason to think that won't continue, especially with DeAndre Hopkins out for the first 6 weeks. And then Pat Freiermuth, who quietly had one of the best rookie seasons for a tight end in NFL history. It just so happened that he was in the same rookie class as Kyle Pitts, who also had a top 10 historical tight end season for a rookie. They're both top 10 tight ends this year. Pat Freiermuth is a guy you can get a lot better value than Kyle Pitts. Pat Freiermuth is one of my favorite targets at the tight end position this year. Oh, I did get stung on my way down here. It's my first time getting stung since I was a little kid. I had to pull off the trail to pee, and I think I wandered across a nest, and one of them chased me down to the trail, unbeknownst to me, and he caught me, and he got me. A little painful, but the water certainly made it feel better. It's starting to sting again now that I'm out. For the tight ends outside the top 10 who could play their way into the top 10, tight end is actually, despite the fact that it wasn't great for them last year, tight end's really deep this year. So if you miss on these top 10 guys, there's a lot of guys outside the top 10 that you could target. Dawson Knox of the Bills at 12. Dawson Knox had an outstanding year last year. He's improved every single year, got more productive every year. As the Bills' offense gets more potent, I suspect Dawson Knox. The problem with Dawson Knox is that he scored a lot of touchdowns last year. That's probably unsustainable. But he also missed some games and didn't catch a lot of balls. So touchdowns may drop, but I think the games played should improve, and the catches will improve. So he should still be a top 10 tight end. 13, Cole Kmet of the Bears. Not a whole lot of reliable receivers there in Chicago for Justin Fields. Cole Kmet seems like a safe bet to probably be number 2 in that passing offense and catches and stuff. The problem with Cole Kmet, the reason he's so low, is he didn't get any touchdowns last year, but I imagine that's going to change this year. He could be a top 10 guy. Noah Fant at 15 with the Seahawks. People are forgetting how productive Noah Fant was in Denver with Drew Lock. So people are trying to knock Noah Fant down because he's playing in Seattle with Drew Lock, but Noah Fant was a fringe top 10 tight end with Drew Lock in Denver. And so there's no reason to think he can't be a top 10, 12 tight end in Seattle. 16, Irv Smith of the Vikings, very injury prone, and he's already hurt again, but the talent there is undeniable. And we know that Kevin McConnell knows how to utilize the tight end with, from the time with the Redskins, with Jordan Reed, or the Commanders now, and then the Rams in the early years when Tyler Higbee was doing what he was doing his thing. And Tyler Higbee's still around, by the way. He's just not very high ranked, so he's a guy you can get late value as well. Probably not going to produce. I'm not a fan of his, but Irv Smith, I'm a big fan of Irv Smith, not just because I'm a Vikings fan. But I think Irv Smith, if he can stay healthy, the big question is going to be very productive. He's going to be a steal. Evan Engram, way down at 22. We've seen Evan Engram produce before. We know that Evan Engram has the talent. Evan Engram just kind of fell out of favor with the Giants. I think the Giants' offense was just really dysfunctional the last couple of years. Jacksonville hopefully is a better situation for him. I'm not going to say Jacksonville's not dysfunctional too, but they have a very good coach in Doug Peterson now. I think it's going to be a much more functional offense than New York was. We've seen Doug Peterson utilize the tight end to great effectiveness in Philadelphia. Hopefully that can continue here in Jacksonville. If that does, Evan Engram will be a huge value target at tight end. And a couple of not ranked guys who one of them I don't understand why they're not ranked. The other one I kind of get. But Brevin Jordan of the Texans, he's not even in the top 24. Brevin Jordan had an outstanding second half of the season last year, if anyone was paying attention. He was putting up fringe tight end one numbers. And to think in another year of experience with Davis Mills and an offseason of working with Davis Mills to get some comfort level, I think Brevin Jordan has a chance to be the number 2 guy in Houston. A lot of people are picking Nico Collins, the wide receiver. I'm picking Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan's going to be a huge value as well. And then another guy, a guy who went to my high school, actually, John Bates from Boise State. He's a second-year guy. He plays for the Commanders. I think he's more talented than Logan Thomas. I think John Bates is going to be the guy for the Commanders sooner rather than later. And we know that Carson Wentz loves his tight ends. We saw him how much he relied on Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz in Philly, and how much he relied on Jack Doyle and Mo Ali Cox in the red zone last year in Indianapolis. So John Bates is another guy who is going completely undrafted, completely under the radar. He's a guy that if you are one of those people who drafts one tight end, like if you get one of the studs, like Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, Waller, Kittle even though Kittle's a little injury prone, that's the reason he's so low. Undeniably, George Kittle, if he didn't have health problems, he would be a top 3 tight end. But if you get one of those guys, you don't draft a second tight end. John Bates should be available for you when you need that bye week pickup, because I don't think Bates is going to be the guy right away for the Commanders this year. Logan Thomas did just recently get removed off of the physically unable to perform list, so he may be ready for week 1, but I just don't think Logan Thomas is any good. I think John Bates from my high school, Lebanon High School, shout out Lebanon High School. I'm not super proud of where I went to high school. It was a meth-infested town, and everybody's kind of small-minded and weak-minded. Everybody's just kind of content with their life there, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just I never really fit in that town. I never really fit in anywhere, but I feel like Portland, even though I'm trying to get out of Portland's a little bit more my speed, a little bit more my vibe. It's just more, I don't know how to explain it, but John Bates, I remember hearing his name a few years ago. I didn't realize he was already in the NFL. I thought he was I could have swore he just graduated high school just a couple years ago, but it obviously was 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't realize that. I remember hearing his name and how he got a scholarship to I thought he was going to Washington State, or maybe it was Oregon, a Pac-12 school. I remember him getting a scholarship there. I don't know what happened with that situation. I didn't really follow up on his college career after that, but he graduated from Boise State, so he ended up in Boise State. I don't know if that's where he started, but yeah, he's got a chance to really solidify himself as a fantasy, not only a starter in this league, but also a fantasy relevant tight end by the end of the year. He could be a league winner for you down the stretch if you miss out on the Big Five. Well, I'm going to say the big 6 tight ends. I like Dalton Schultz a lot. I think especially with the turnover for the pass catchers in Dallas, Dalton Schultz is going to be a dude. He's going to be a top 6. The top 6 tight ends, if they all stay healthy, are going to be fantastic this year. I think there's a chance also Zach Ertz could be fantastic. Pat Freiermuth could be pretty good. There's 8 or 9 guys on here I think could really be really outstanding tight ends this year. And the rest are just going to be, be okay. I'm not high on Hockenson at all this year, especially with how Detroit upgraded at the wide receiver position with, drafting Jameson Williams whenever he gets on the field, signing DJ Chark. I just don't think Hockenson is going to be worth the investment, or worth the price you're going to pay for him on draft day. I don't think he's going to be even close to it. That's my tight end preview. I still have a baseball video to do today. I'm probably not going to film from here, unfortunately. I don't know if I'm going to film tonight at all. I'll probably do that in the morning, which means we might miss out on the Friday streamers. I apologize for that. I'm just trying to do some wandering. I didn't do any Wednesday wandering like I normally do. I'm doing it today and going to get my car fixed. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. And this is a beautiful place. Not super far from Portland, and definitely not super far from my house. It's kind of between my parents' house and my house. So I thought it was a good place to stop on my way down there. And I'm definitely not regretting it. This is a beautiful place. And it's not even that, it's a steep hike. It's a pretty steep hike, but it's really short. There's some ropes, so to help you get down and help you get up. There's 2 different trails. One's really steep, and the other one is semi-steep. But I suppose they both, I don't know if they both have ropes. I didn't do the other one. I didn't do the super steep one. I might go back up that way. I wasn't going down. I'd rather go up super steep than down super steep because I don't want to fall. So, my arm's starting to hurt. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I do want you guys to enjoy this view, and you should definitely come check this place out. It's Abiqua Falls. You should be able to Google map it pretty easily if you want to come check this place out if you're in the area. And it was like an hour and a half from Portland because it's in the middle of nowhere and you got to go down a really, really bad gravel road. They said you needed a 4-wheel drive to get down here. I made it down most of the way in my little lawnmower, but there was one really bad spot that I went over. I was like, okay, I'm not going any farther. I walked I think it was a little less than a mile. My Google Maps told me it was like 0.4 of a mile, but it ended up being farther than that. It's like a 20-minute walk from where I parked. So, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile or so. Not too bad. And then it's less than a mile to hike into here. So not bad at all. And, sorry, I'm covering the waterfall. Very pretty. Very pretty. Anyways, I got nothing else. Peace, love, and nacho fries, my friends. Good luck. Hopefully my information, again, is helpful. And if not, then you could use it against me to kick my ass in fantasy this year. So, whatever. I'm having fun anyway. I hate losing. Especially hate losing to people I know. Because I have to live with that failure for the entire next year. But, entire off season. But, it's all for fun. It's all for fun. I'm just really competitive, and I'm a bit of a poor sport, but it's just, I consider it quality time with my friends, even if we don't actually see each other. Which actually, one of my drafts finally is gonna be an in-person draft. We're gonna meet up at my friend's house down in Albany, and we're gonna draft, which is gonna be awesome. I'm so glad we're finally doing it. I had another live draft like that a few years ago, which it was great. It was fantastic. I wish we would live draft every single year, live in-person draft, but it is what it is. It's hard to get everybody together when people grow up and they move away and stuff like that. Like, this time next year, I may not be here. So it's definitely going to be hard for me to get back here if we want to do a live draft again. But I will, if you give me enough notice, I will definitely set aside time to come up here for a night or two and do a draft because it's important to me. It's a priority to me. And besides, it's not like I don't have family and friends in this area to come back and see anyway. As long as my parents are here, I'm going to come back and visit semi-frequently. So, I mean, you know, I do need to do a better job of seeing my friends down in my hometown and stuff like that anyways. So this will be, it'll be good. Looking forward to that on Labor Day weekend. And yeah, it's time to go. Time to go. I'm cooled down now. I'm feeling good. This is a fantastic place to stop. And yeah, but I'm ready to get this show on the road, get my car fixed, and get home at a semi-decent time tonight. All right. See you later.